welcome back to another video. Let me introduce you to our newest baby on the farm. This is Pipa, a little kitten that we saved from the streets, because every summer here in Mallorca there's so many stray kittens that need a new home. And I seem to have quite bad luck because of a total of 5 cats that I've been saving over the last years. 3 have disappeared. So I really hope that Pipa will stay with us for a very long time. Pipa is 2 months old now, and from all the kittens I raised, she's definitely the easiest one so far. She immediately accepted me as her new stepmom, and over the last couple of weeks, I did my best to integrate her into the farm family. Pino loves her as much as I do. Pepe, on the other hand, is still a bit skeptical. Summer has definitely arrived here in Mallorca and it's super hot and humid. Today we have a little break with some clouds, but usually I am not really able to work outside before 8 o'clock in the evening or early in the mornings. And it's quite a struggle to keep all these little baby plants alive that I planted. So let me show you a few tricks on how to keep a young food forest alive in this dry Mediterranean climate. It's July and my food forest looks quite crispy. You can tell about the color of the leaves and the general vegetation on the ground that we haven't had any rain in the last 2 months or even longer. I can't even remember. And I have been planting quite a couple of trees and bushes and herbs and whatnot, basically all the layers of a food forest, and I'm trying to keep them alive during the summer, which is pretty hard because we don't have our own well. All the water we use is brought here by truck. So I'm trying to use as little water as possible, but just enough to keep everything alive. Compared to last year, I've added quite some new plants to the system, so our usage of water has gone up quite a bit. Also, our animals, especially the ducks and the pigs, really like to have some water to bathe. So first I'm gonna fill up their bathtubs. One thing I do to save as much water as possible is that we use as much water as possible twice. So all the dirty water from our duck's pond is going to the garden, which is great because it is also very rich in nutrients from their poop. Look how big this poplar tree grew in the last just 2.5 years. This tree is one of the support or pioneer trees in our food forest system, which means that they don't produce any food, but they do help other trees and plants to grow because it is growing very, very quickly and therefore shading other plants below. Shade is crucial in a Mediterranean food forest, not just from above, but also on the ground, because one of the most important actors of our new system is actually below ground. We want to keep alive all the microorganisms that live in the soil and help our plants grow. So I'm trying to keep the soil covered at all times. It doesn't matter with what I'm covering it, as long as it is biodegradable. So I'm using all the weeds that we've been cutting as mulch, as well as wood chips from our own land, and sometimes even cardboard, because cardboard is basically nothing else than a tree. All this ground cover shades the soil, keeps the moisture inside the soil, especially where we irrigate it. And it also prevents weeds growing because the seeds don't have any light to germinate below this. I also planted some plants with the sole purpose of having a material to chop and drop to help us cover the soil, like this vetiver grass, which is doing really well once it is established. It can also be used to produce cosmetics, and it has a super deep root system, so whenever we get water, the roots are going to take it deep down into the soil. So I just regularly chop them down and place them in the area around the plants that can benefit from them. My favorite mulch to use at the moment is sheep wool, because all our neighbors have sheep, so we have a lot of wool to use. And wool actually isn't worth anything anymore, because regular sheep wool is too itchy to transform into clothing, and also the process of manufacturing yarn from sheep wool is way too expensive to do here in Europe. So usually most farmers just throw this away. But there are so many benefits of using wool in your garden. It doesn't just act as mulch, but it's also a fertilizer. And the nice benefit is also that it is super soft to work around the garden.
Sheep wool contains up to 10% slow-release nitrogen, potassium, sulfur, and other trace minerals. As it decomposes, it improves soil fertility gradually over time, ideal for long-term plant health. Wool can absorb up to 30 times its weight in water, making it a natural moisture reservoir. It helps keep soil hydrated longer, especially during dry periods. The fibrous texture of wool loosens heavy soils, improving aeration and drainage. I add a little bit of wool into my seed trays as well. The young roots grow perfectly in the spongy material. Wool also enhances microbial activity, which supports a healthy soil ecosystem.
If you've been wondering what these tubes are for, my initial idea was to use them for our irrigation system, which is now currently going on drip right here, with the idea that the water actually goes much deeper. It's about 40 centimeters below ground, so that we can save some water because it won't evaporate on the surface. But because I have so many very young plants with a very, very shallow root system, I didn't connect the hose to the pipes just yet. But once this tree is a bit bigger, I might switch from here to here, and this should also help to make the root system stronger and grow deeper rather than upwards to search for water on the surface.
If you water just a little bit every day, the moisture only reaches the surface of the soil, exactly where weed seeds are waiting to germinate. In effect, you're mostly watering weeds. In contrast, the roots of established plants grow much deeper. To ensure they receive the water they need, it's better to water less frequently, but more thoroughly and slowly. This allows the water to penetrate deeply into the soil and fully saturate it, supporting healthy root growth and reducing weed problems.
So I automated most of my irrigation system because I didn't want to spend all summer watering like I did last year and the year before. But I still do water all the plants that look a bit dry every evening with the gray water from the duck's pond. The irrigation system runs mostly at night or early in the mornings, but because we have quite a low water pressure because our terrain is not that steep, not all plants get the amount of water that they actually need. Let's have a look at our veggie garden.
While the food forest is currently being watered twice a week, the veggie garden gets water daily. It uses a big chunk of our water budget. As in the food forest, we also plant super densely here and use mulch to make sure the soil is always covered. But now let's talk about the biggest problem of keeping this food forest alive, which is human failure.
It is a bit embarrassing, but I must say that the thing I struggled most with to save water here on the land is actually my ADHD. I won't tell you how many times I forgot to turn the tap off. It is just a bit too slow, so I usually have to wait. And then something interesting happens. I don't know, a duck flies by or the pigs make some noise, and I just walk away and I forget. And then when I come back to the finca the next day, the tank is almost empty. Which sucks not only because I lose a lot of water, but also because it's quite expensive. What I've tried to do so far is just to set an alarm every time I open a tap, but I don't seem to manage to do that. So I'm trying a new trick today and really hope that this helps my brain to remember to close all the hoses before I leave the land. Leave it for me. So the idea is to put one of these rubber bands whenever I open a tap and put it around my arm wrist. That hopefully will remind me to close it again. If you have ADHD, let me know if you think that would help, and I'll keep you updated on my progress. So yesterday I forgot to turn off the tap here at this tank below the grapevine because I thought, yeah, let me just give the grapevine a little bit of water. And I took the hose out and left. I am hoping for a very good grape year this year because this plant now got about 10,000 liters of water.
You won't believe it, but actually, as I was recording this video, I almost forgot to close the hose again.
It is getting dark and it's getting darker on the sky as well. I am hoping that we're gonna get some rain tonight. That would be awesome because it would balance out my mistake of leaving the hose pipe open. If you have a garden in a Mediterranean climate, I would really like to know what your struggles are and if you find any of my advices helpful or if you have other tips that I could share. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.